Right, so the situation with Kamille and her mysterious disappearance from AEW just keeps getting weirder, and reports keep on conflicting, and I just don't know what's even going to happen anymore with her. But if you aren't aware of everything that's happened with Kamille and AEW thus far and her status with AEW, then allow me to bring you up to speed as you press like on this video. Kamille made her wrestling debut in 2017 under the ring name of Camilla Kane and started making appearances alongside Nick Aldis in 2018 for the NWA, with her ring name eventually becoming what we know it as today, Kamille. And Camille's first match for the NWA wouldn't actually come until 2020, and that same year when NWA returned from the pandemic, she would put herself right at the top of the women's division, as she defeated Thunder Rosa, who was easily one of the top stars of the NWA, to become #1 contender for the NWA Women's World Championship, and it's there where she would defeat Serena Deeb to win the NWA Women's World Championship. And Kamille would enjoy a very lengthy reign as NWA Women's World Champion, as dare I say it, she was the biggest star in the NWA for the duration of her reign, as Nick Aldis had obviously left the NWA, else it would obviously be him. Camille's title reign with the NWA Women's World Championship lasted for 813 days, and she beat pretty much everyone that the NWA threw at her before losing the belt to Kenzie Page at NWA 75 in 2023, and her dropping the belt was obviously done because she was finishing up with the NWA, and a bidding war for her signature between WWE and AEW was brewing and about to ensue, as after a couple of months of some back and forth reports of who she was gonna sign for, it was eventually revealed that AEW came out on top and got her signature, as it was revealed in April 2024 that Kamille had been signed since February. Okay, that's interesting. So she'd been sat doing nothing for 2 months already. That's very interesting because, well, this 2 months would turn into 3, and then into 4, and even into 5 months for a bit, as Kamille sat on the shelf for ages before finally debuting for AEW at Blood and Guts in July, as she made her debut on AEW by attacking Dr. Britt Baker DMD on behalf of Mercedes Moné, who was feuding with her for the TBS Championship, officially aligning herself with the CEO and becoming the muscle for Mercedes Moné. And she would have her debut match the next week after, as she won a 2-on-1 handicap squash match defeating 2 jobbers, and she would go on a short run of matches in AEW, picking up wins in every match she was in, and they were all squash matches other than one match with Queen Aminata. And her first loss in AEW would take place to Chris Statlander on the 30th of October Dynamite, as Chris Statlander, who was feuding with Mercedes Moné, and during this feud between Chris Statlander and Mercedes Moné for the TBS Championship, Kamille really got made to look like a goof, constantly getting beaten down, being made to look like a useless muscle for Mercedes Moné, and like I said, just being made to look like a bit of a joke. But after months of tension and a bit of build, I guess, Kamille and Mercedes Moné would officially split up on the Thanksgiving Dynamite, as Kamille would seemingly turn face in this moment, which was a very interesting move by AEW, and it was gonna be very interesting to see what Kamille was gonna do next, as she had now taken a complete 180 in AEW, now being a face and on her own away from Mercedes Moné. I wonder how this is gonna go. Unfortunately though, I wouldn't get to find out, and in fact, to this day, I still haven't been able to find out, as just a few days later, after Kamille turned on Mercedes Moné and turned face, she was attacked and found laid out on an episode of Rampage in what was seemingly a mystery attacker angle that AEW since then has never came back to, and Kamille has never been seen on AEW since, though is still signed to AEW. Mind you, bro, that was back in November. It's been nearly 5 months since Kamille has been seen on AEW, and this mystery attacker angle and her being laid out has never been mentioned on AEW TV once. And of course, it happened on Rampage, a show that doesn't even even exist anymore for AEW as it was cancelled. And yeah, that's kind of where we were up to the last time I discussed Kamille. It's just been a whirlwind of events for Kamille in AEW so far, as it took her ages to debut, and then she had an alliance with Mercedes Moné where she didn't really get to do much, and that was wrapped up pretty quickly, and then she's not been seen on TV since again. She's been signed to AEW for over a year now and has been off TV for longer than she's been on it. Now, in the last video, I didn't actually know the reason why she was written off other than AEW just seemingly having no idea what to do with her, but as it turns out, Kamille seemingly did actually have an injury, and I guess that does make sense because she did appear on AEW TV with an arm sling, and she did an interview in December where she gave an update on her unknown injury, saying that she's very close to being completely cleared, which, while this explains why she may have initially been written off TV in the first place due to an injury, perfectly valid and perfectly reasonable reason to be off TV, it doesn't explain why she's not returned or been back since. I mean, you heard what I said, right? This interview was in December, and she said she was close to being completely cleared. That was in December. It's 3 months later and she's still not back on TV. That's really odd. And just to make things even more confusing about Kamille's status with AEW have recently been promoting the new film that just came out called Queen of the Ring. The film that I believe follows the story of Mildred Burke. It's a wrestling related film that is out now in theaters and features many AEW stars such as Toni Storm, who's in it, and AEW has been promoting this film heavily and using Toni Storm to promote it, obviously, as she's one of the stars. However, another AEW wrestler who has a role in this film is none other than, well, Kamille, and AEW not once during the promotion of this film has mentioned that their wrestler, their contracted wrestler Kamille, is also in this movie. Not mentioned on TV, not mentioned on social media, but they've mentioned Toni Storm being in it multiple times, but just not Kamille, despite the fact she's also in this movie. And again, to make matters even more confusing, Kamille, while at a red carpet event for the film, was asked in an interview about her AEW status, and she straight up refused to comment on it, which just adds even more fuel to the fire of what the fuck is going on with Kamille in AEW and what is her status with the company. And after seeing that, I thought surely that's just it for Kamille in AEW. She's refusing to comment because it's another Ricky Stark / Ray Fenix situation where she's just waiting for the end of her contract. The mystery attacker thing was just a lazy way to write her off. They have no actual idea for it and they're never going to come back to it, and Kamille will never be back on AEW TV, surely not. Well, in easily the most confusing part to this story so far, just recently Tony Khan was asked in an interview about Kamille's status and whether fans could potentially see her face Megan Bayne. And this is how Tony Khan responded. That's a great question. We don't know who attacked Kamille, and the last time we saw her, she was attacked. We know she had a breakup with Mercedes Moné in their business relationship. Mercedes is flourishing since then. She's done really well on her own. But Kamille, we haven't seen her since she was attacked, and we're not sure what that was and what that was about. I do think that's an interesting thought for sure, and it's something to keep an eye on, but that would be a great matchup. When Kamille does return to get payback for that attack, it'll be interesting to see who she goes after and what that was. Okay, so some very key words in there. First of all, when Kamille does return. That's saying that Kamille is probably going to be returning at some point in AEW and isn't done. And not only that, but Tony Khan really did acknowledge that Rampage attacker storyline, and maybe they're actually going to continue that? That is just very surprising to me. I thought surely they were going to leave a dead angle from 5 months ago on a show that doesn't even exist anymore and just leave it in the past. I thought they'd just forget about it. I guess time will tell if any of this ever happens, but Kamille versus Megan Bayne, definitely an easily booked match for AEW. There is an easy match to be made there. But once again, this all remains to be seen if Kamille actually does come back and if this storyline does actually continue and what happens with Kamille. But if she does come back, it will be very interesting to see what she does on TV. Does she go after Mercedes Moné or Megan Bayne, or do they continue that mystery attacker storyline? maybe the mystery attacker was Megan Bayne. That might actually make some kind of sense. Hey, it's an easy storyline reason to put that match together. Just say Megan Bayne did it, then book that damn match. That would actually be a pretty solid match to watch, I think. Just two hoss women going at it. That would be pretty awesome. Book it, AEW. Overall, though, this Kamille AEW situation has just been a roller coaster. There's so many conflicting accounts and stories, and it's just also cryptic, and nothing's really been said or reported about anything with Kamille's status. Nobody really has a clue what's going on, safe to say. But I guess with this Tony Khan interview, we're a little closer to seeing Kamille make her AEW TV return, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But guys, that's it from me on this video. If you did enjoy it, then like the video and comment down below what you think of the entire Kamille situation with AEW and what you'd like to see with Kamille if she does return to AEW. Also, be sure to comment down below what videos you want to see next from me and subscribe with notifications on so you never miss those videos. I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye and keep on rolling.